Despite being one of the poorest and most reclusive countries in the world, North Korea has an impressive Olympic track record. The country has already won more than 55 medals, with at least 16 of them gold, since its games debut in the 1972 Summer Olympics. North Korea consistently ranks high when comparing the number of medals won relative to a country's GDP. After skipping the Tokyo Games in 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic, North Korea is holding its own, once again, in Paris. So why has North Korea done so well in the Olympics? Hong Young-ja is a South Korea-based PhD candidate whose primary research area is on sports in North Korea.
I would say that in the early international sports competition was always a way for them to legitimize their regime. So in the early days, they were always battling with South Korea to be the real Korea. More so than that, it encourages patriotism amongst the populace. So by kind of distracting people and making their own populace see like, oh, you know, if we're cheering for this table tennis player or we're cheering for this diver, then they feel that patriotism and they might kind of forget about other issues that they might have with the regime. So it's really helpful for them both internationally and domestically to do well in sporting competitions internationally.
Hong says it was former North Korean leader Kim Jong-il who charted the country's path to athletic success. Pyongyang took inspiration from the former Soviet Union, which won more than 1,000 medals in only 9 Summer Olympics. A North Korean's path to becoming a professional athlete begins in early childhood. Sports are a mandatory part of the national school curriculum. Promising talent is more easily spotted this way, and students with potential are sent to national sports academies for intensive training. Ri Myung-hun, a basketball player who stood a towering 7'9", grew up in a family employed as coal miners, a group considered one of the lowest classes in the country. But athletes, especially top-performing ones, are treated as heroes in North Korea. In effect, being successful in sport is a way that families can easily climb the social ladder.
If you do well, then you get incentives from the government. So the better you do, the better your family does and the better you do personally. So it's all incentivized and it's really done from an early age. Because he was so tall and he became an athlete, his whole family got more privileges and he got to move to a nice apartment in Pyongyang. He got personal incentives from the leader.
In some cases, a successful sports career can even translate into a role in politics. Jong Song-ok, who finished first in the 1999 Sevilla World Athletics Championship Marathon, later became a delegate in the Supreme People's Assembly, North Korea's top legislature.
Basically, if you do extremely well, then that means you will have a ticket to becoming the political elite. So she went from just being a regular marathon runner, just a regular athlete, into becoming somewhat of an elite politician.
In a country known for handing down severe punishments for even the smallest infractions, many assume the stakes could be even higher for North Korea's athletes to perform well. But Hong says losing isn't as bad as some might think.
There's always these rumors in media where it's like that they come back and then they have to go to a labor camp or they go to prison. This is never true. This almost never happens. If you win, then you can continue being an athlete and you continue getting more privilege. And then if you lose, you might have to quit and get another job. And that doesn't necessarily mean they get a bad job. It just means that you're no longer an athlete and you lose some privileges and you kind of have to fall back on your other skills, basically.
However, as the games evolve through the years, North Korea might be in danger of being stuck in the past.
They focus on disciplines which they think that they can win. So that's like the classical events like weightlifting, combat sports, you know, taekwondo, judo, Greco-Roman wrestling, table tennis, gymnastics, all of these things that have been around for a long time. There are new events coming in like surfing or breakdancing or even esports where Pyongyang really isn't going to be able to compete because they don't want to have these new culture come in and they want to stay to classical disciplines. But disciplines that require equipment, something like cycling, they don't really have the roads for cycling, or archery or fencing. They're never going to be good at these events because that requires a lot of money and specialist training.
Despite those obstacles, Hong says that even in the future, North Korea will still have its share of Olympic athletes who can bring home success in some events.